we have going on right now? We have our app. If we long press on our app, we see cell was selected. That's not enough. We want to be able to present some sort of alert action sheet. The whole part of like writing that custom delegation was basically to have that view relay or notify whoever is listening, right? So my custom delegation, anybody who's listening, anybody who says my class.delegate equal to self says I am responsible, not responsible, but I am now listening to the long press action. I could do anything I want with that. So in our view controller, which is where we are, we're conforming to our image cell delegate, which is now a custom delegate that we wrote. When the long press happened, again, if we go back to the notes here, right here in that function, right here, where we say delegate.some function, remember I said basically change delegate to your own object. In that case, cell dot, right? That function will get called. Some function will get called, and it does. Some function gets called right here. This is our sum function. Did long press gets called. And now we need to write the logic for deletion. So first of all, we have a cell, but we need to get the index path of that cell. How do we get the index path of the cell? So let's get to that. So index path equal to collection view, index path. Collection view has this function on it called index path for cell. We happen to have the cell. Look at that. Image cell. We pass an image cell here. Great. And here, return. We could take out that cell was selected for now. Okay. Any data you need from that view, you could pass it in that function. So you could have other functions, you could pass in whatever data you need. In our case, we simply just want access to the cell that made the long press, right? We need that cell in order to know what index path was selected. So like we did before we do any more logic, let's simply print out the index path. So index path.row. And run the app again. Run the app again, and let's get some more cells in there. So you could add some more cells in your project. Let's get to cells here. I'll get to this cell. Get some more cells going on here. Okay. So now, if I long press on, for example, my last cell here, let's clear the console here. If I long press on the last cell, I expect to see index 2, which makes sense. Where does my array start counting? 0. How many cells do I have? 3. If I select the first, what am I expecting to see? 0. If I click long press on the second, 1. Very good, perfect, so that works. So we're able to get to the index path of that selected cell. Yes, to get to the object. So the next step is, as Amin is pointing out here, let's get to our object. So let's get to the image object. Actually, do we even need the image object? No, we don't. We are, or we will. So two things we need to do. We need to delete. Before we even delete, we're so hungry to delete. Let's come back to that first. We'll come back to it, but we'll come back to that. So we confirm that the cells is correct, or the cell selected is correct. We need to present an action sheet. Actions will be only 2 actions. We have delete and we have cancel. Okay? So like we did earlier, this is one of the things you could probably write like a UI view controller extension for the alert controller, but let's just get in the habit for now, just to retype it, to create that muscle memory here. So let's create a UI alert controller. UI alert controller and title nil message mail. We want an action sheet. Now we know the differences between action sheet and alert, correct? And here we will simply present it. Present alert controller, true. Let's create our action. So here we have a delete action, is a UI alert action, and here the title is delete, and the style is destructive. Remember we spoke about destructive earlier? So here we want to let the user know that is destructive, so the title will be red, and the handler, we'll come back to the handler, and let's do cancel. I've seen apps without cancel action. Remember, you need the cancel action because other than that, the user don't see the cancel action there. So here, UI alert action and title cancel, and this is cancel, no handler. And now we need to add. So alert controller, add, delete, and alert controller, add, cancel. We presented it, great. Okay, so if I would delete, we need some sort of completion handler on it. Here we'll say alert action. Okay, let's test it, make sure our action sheet does show up. Yes, sir. Let's go back to our view. So when I go ahead and long press, I do have my action sheet showing up. Everybody sees that? I have delete, which is destructive. It's in red text, and I have my cancel. Now nothing happens. Let's go ahead and write the logic for delete. So I'll create a function called delete image object right here. Private function delete image object. My persistence needs some sort of index, so I'll pass in some index path here, which is of type index path. Yes, you don't need the entire index path, but what if you have a section or something like that, more complicated? So delete index path, this is great. I will call this right here. I'll set up a weak self right here, and I will say self.delete and pass in the index path like that. Perfect. So now we could do a couple things. We could say delete image object from documents directory, and we also want to delete image object from images object or image objects. We don't have any reload table view, or we don't have a dig set on our object, so we need to remove or delete cell from collection view. Okay, those are the things we need to do. So first off, we have our documents directory, which, if I recall, does throw an error. So here we'll simply say try our data persistence dot delete should be item index path dot row. Okay. If we have any errors, we throw it here, and here we say error deleting item. Error Great. So we did the persistence part of it. Now we need to remove it from the array. So in our array, we'll say events, not events, image objects dot remove at index path row. And lastly, remove it from the collection view. So collection view dot remove or delete items, array of index paths. We pass in one index path. And actually, let's set all that up in here, because if something goes wrong, we cannot delete anything. So take all that code and dump it in here. Just dump everything in the do, because if that goes wrong, then forget it. Okay, cool. Great. Make sure to call our delete image object. We are. So first, those are the places we have to like do the deletion, right? Data persistence, remove the thing from documents directory, remove it from our image objects array, and update the collection view. And we're keeping intact with not reloading the entire collection view. We're just deleting that index or indices that is being removed. So we're not reloading the entire collection view. We're just removing that index from the collection. All right, let's give it a spin. Let's test it.
What
189, can you see from 189 there? I kind of made it blow up there. Okay, let's test it. Let's test. Okay, so I have my app here. If I long press on this image and I click delete, it deletes. You see that nice animation we get for free here, as opposed to reloading the entire collection view? And now if I stop and run again, that image should be gone, which it is, right? So now we have two. We had 3 images before, now we have 2 images. Everybody? Right? Perfect. We did it, yes? 190 what? You want me to go over the line or are you okay? Okay, what's your error? Cannot use optional chaining. On what exactly? Okay. Yeah, make sure it's with self there. All right. Very good. So we did a lot today, even with time to spare. This is awesome. So with time to spare, there's always time to do more things. Anything that we want to go over so far? Is there any point in this application? We did a lot. We did custom delegation. Let's actually write out what we did. And then maybe, so topics covered. It should persist. Okay, so topics we did today. Anybody remember the first thing we did? What's the first thing we did? The very first thing we did? What? Jury duty. After jury duty, what did we do? Guys, let's go over what we did today. What did we do? Cameron, what's the first thing we did today? Okay, so we created an action sheet. Very good. So used UI alert controller to present and action sheet. Very good. We presented the user, in that action sheet, we presented the user with two options. Do you want to get a photo from your library, or do you want to take a photo from the camera? So what did we do? We accessed the user's photo library, also access the user's camera. To access the user's camera, we had to add, anybody remembers the key? Add, anybody remember the key? Free lunch tomorrow. NS user, NS camera description, something like that. Who remembers the thing? Use, NS what? Camera usage description, I owe you. So add the NS camera usage description key to the info.plist file. What else did we do? Luba, name one thing we did today. Custom delegation, awesome. So we created a custom delegate to notify the images view controller about long presses from the image cell. Awesome. Anything else we did in between? Resize image, thank you very much. So here we resized a UI image using UI renderer, UI graphics renderer, graphics, let's double check on the name here. UI graphics renderer. Okay, resize a UI image. Resize a UI image using UI graphics image renderer. What else we had to do for that there? Also kept the aspect ratio of it. Maintained the aspect ratio of the image using what function? Rect, right? It returns a rect. Starts with AV. Is it make rect? Right? And this is from the AV Foundation framework. Anything else we did? How did we work with the UI to show the delete? What? Yeah, but how did we? What's the UI, or what UI element did we add to the cell so that long press, right? So we saw long press gestures, right? So resize, maintain, implemented UI long press gesture recognizer to present an action sheet for deletion. Okay? Awesome. Future features, other things you guys could add, or maybe to your lab, is sharing feature. So you could, I'll say, other features we can add is sharing. So we could share an image along with text to a user via SMS Facebook, etc. Right? So you could share here. Other things you could do, you could automatically save original image taken to the photo library. Right? I think the API for that is the UI image write to, who wants to finish me on this one? UI image write to, I think I stacked it out earlier, right? UI image write to saved photos album. UI image write to photos album. Okay? Cool. I think if you do that there, that's basically the lab anyway. Anything else we did? That's it, right? And then we persisted, right? Obviously there at the end. Persisted image objects to the documents directory. Things we could do, we could save, we could load, or we could create using CRUD. We could create, we could read, and we could delete. For your lab, you need to update. Yes? Yes. That means you need to update. Actually, you could just use, okay, cool. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? We good? Okay, perfect. So we'll end lecture here. Great.